Thank you for joining me today. It's Brian Gubernick, and welcome to the No Days Off podcast, where we believe that every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. I was watching TV today and I saw a commercial, and there was a line in this commercial, is maybe a 4 second line total, but it caught my attention. I really liked it, and it really got me thinking. The guy in the commercial says something to the effect of, if you have time for a scroll, you have time for a call. If you have time to scroll, you have time to call. I really like that one. And it really got me thinking, probably because I was sitting on my phone scrolling at the time. It's a pretty true statement. Not just a little bit true, but maybe uncomfortably true for many of us. Think about how often you pick up the phone. We all pick up our phone with no real intention. It's probably gotten worse and worse over the years. We scroll, we check, we refresh, we bounce from app to app, social media app, or whatever it may be. And suddenly 5 minutes goes by, 10 minutes goes by. Sometimes we justify it. We say things like, I'm just taking a break, or I'm just checking something really quick. But in that same window of time, you could have made a call. You could have connected with someone. You could have moved something forward in your life. You could have moved something forward in your business. And yet, so many times, maybe it's just me, I don't think it is though, so many times we default or we choose the scroll. The scroll is easy. Scrolling is pretty easy. I mean, it's designed that way. There's no risk, there's no rejection, there's no effort at all. It's pretty passive. A call, though, an actual call to a person, requires something from you. It requires intent. It requires you to be present. It requires energy. And there's a chance also that call could be awkward. There's a chance they don't answer. There's a chance the call doesn't go how you want. So what do? We default to the scroll, or we default to the text because it's more comfortable. Here's the problem with that, though. Nothing meaningful in your life is built through scrolling. I think we know this, but it doesn't. I mean, if you look at your time on your phone every day, I bet you every one of us would cringe if we really looked at how many minutes we were spending on our phone, scrolling and looking at things that are rather meaningless. See, if we're going to relate this to business, business moves at the speed of conversations and communication. If you really think about it, your business doesn't grow because of what you consume. It grows because of conversations that you're having. Deals happen through conversations. Opportunities are found through conversations. Trust with your peers built through conversations. And most people are starving their business, not because they don't know enough. We know plenty. We're starving our business because we're not talking to enough people. We may be scrolling instead of calling. We may be sending a lot of texts instead of just talking. And then we look up sometimes, we wonder why maybe things are going a little bit slower than we'd like. Again, business will move at the speed of conversations. Now, texting is super efficient. I mean, it's how I justify so many texts. It's very efficient. It's also pretty lazy if you really think about it. I'm not saying that texting is bad. I mean, again, it has its place for sure, but let's be honest. A lot of times we text simply because it's easier than calling. It also allows us to stay a little distant, which means if we're a little distant, we can commit a little less. Maybe we're a little less exposed, but the tone gets lost. There's no emotion. The emotion could sometimes be confused or it gets lost. There's no connection. The connection, yeah, maybe a little bit in text, but the connection in comparison to conversation is weak. And in business and in relationships, I think this stuff really matters. A 5 minute call can probably do what 25 texts cannot. See, I believe, especially in this day and age, for all of us, not just to teach our kids, but for us, you listening to the podcast here today, I think that presence is starting to really become a competitive advantage. Being present is becoming rare. Actually picking up the phone, giving someone your attention, being fully there in conversation, that sort of thing is starting to stand out more and more. And when something becomes rare, well, then it becomes valuable. And if you want an edge in your relationships or in your leadership or just an overall edge in your business, be the person who makes the phone call. Be the person who calls. Be the person who connects. Don't be the one that hides behind the screen. So that line from the commercial that kind of stuck with me. If you have time to scroll, you have time to call. To be clear, it's not about eliminating. I don't think it's about eliminating scrolling entirely from your life. I think it is, though, about thinking through what you're doing and being a bit more intentional. Because every time you choose to scroll or text over the call, you're actually choosing comfort over connection. And by the way, sometimes that's okay, but sometimes it's just not. Maybe we have a little bit more awareness around it from this little line from a commercial that most of us probably didn't see. So here's what I want to challenge you to do today. After you've listened to this podcast, I want you to catch yourself in the act. Like when you go to pick up your phone to scroll or to text, pause and instead make one call. Have that one conversation or connection. And do that consistently. And I would bet you everything in my pocket that a few things start to change. That's all I have for you today, the No Days Off podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. So let's get after it.